Hello and a very good evening. You're watching the news at 6 on Rajya Sabha television with me, Frank Pereira. Here are the headlines. Bengaluru police official alleges AIADMK General Secretary Shashikala bribed authorities to get VIP treatment in jail, lists special kitchen and relaxed visiting hours among her privileges. Karnataka Chief Minister Siddaramaiah orders probe into allegations. Curfew in Shopian town and restrictions imposed in many parts of Kashmir after a strike call by the separatist. Strike disrupts normal life in the valley and restricts movement of vehicles in 7 police stations of Srinagar. Benchmark Sensex breaches 32,000 mark for the first time. NSE Nifty also hits a new peak of 9,879. Gains come on the back of retail inflation hitting a record low and renewed hopes of a rate cut by the Reserve Bank at its policy meet next month. And former Brazil President Lula da Silva sentenced to nearly 10 years in prison for corruption and money laundering. Lula claims investigation against him is a campaign to prevent his return to power. AIADMK Chief VK Shashikala has been accused of getting royal treatment in the women's cell of a Karnataka jail. A senior police official on Thursday reported that Shashikala paid 2 crore rupees as bribe to jail authorities for special privileges. Karnataka Chief Minister Siddaramaiah has ordered a high-level inquiry into the allegations.
Senior police official on Thursday alleged that AIADMK Amma faction leader VK Shashikala is getting preferential treatment in the Bengaluru Central Prison. Deputy Inspector of General Prisons D. Rupa made the allegations in a report submitted to the DGP. In her 4-page report, Rupa claimed that a special kitchen had been set up for Shashikala in violation of prison rules. She also alleged that 2 crore rupees were paid as bribe to the prison officials to avail the special facilities. The letter also highlighted other illegal instances inside the prison. Rupa also sought a fact-finding inquiry on her allegations.
When I see something, if I don't report, it becomes a lapse on my part. So I have reported. The report cannot be discussed on media. Hence, I have submitted it to DG Prisons. Let him take action. I have given also a copy to the government. And if my report is he finds it false, he has every means to get it inquired again.
However, Director General Prisons H.S. Satyanarayana Rao denied the allegations, terming them baseless. Rao issued 2 memos to Rupa for approaching the media and posting information on social media.
And now after the office hours, this has been sent here. I was not there. Then suddenly it appears in the media. So if a subordinate officer has got anything to do, if she has observed something in a prison, she should come and discuss with me. These are the observations, sir. This is what we have done. Even if she thinks there's an allegation against me, also she can tell me, sir, this is what people are talking. We don't mind. I am open to investigation. Instead of that, going to media and disclosing all kinds of things and without any evidence.
Karnataka Chief Minister Siddaramaiah has ordered a high-level probe into the alleged irregularities at the central prison.
It seems to have reported the matter to the EDGP also. It is a serious matter, and government has taken note of this. With all seriousness, we will take action on that.
The opposition DMK also demanded a thorough inquiry into allegations made by the police official.
All prisoners should be treated equally. If somebody is given special preference, then that is itself is bad in any prison. That will create commotion among the rest of the prisoners and it may lead to any trouble. So the government of Karnataka should immediately conduct an investigation.
Shashikala is lodged at the central prison in Bengaluru in a disproportionate assets case along with her 2 relatives. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
A curfew was imposed in the valley today after separatist leaders called for a shutdown on Martyrs' Day. Hurriyat Conference Chairman Mirwaiz Umar Farooq was also detained by the police while trying to lead supporters towards Martyrs' graveyard.
Curfew was imposed in parts of Kashmir after separatists gave a Bandh call to mark the death anniversary of the 1931 killing of 21 people by the Dogra army. Restrictions were imposed in Shopian, Anantnag, Pulwama, Kulgam and Srinagar. Jammu and Kashmir Chief Minister Mehbooba Mufti paid floral tributes to the martyrs at the Martyrs' Graveyard in Srinagar. Highlighting their valour, Mufti said that the 21 people laid down their lives for a democratic and prosperous state.
खुशहाल जम्मू कश्मीर जिसमें कश्मीरियत हमारा बुनियादी जो हमारे उसूल हैं उनको याद रखना चाहिए। जैसे अभी हाल ही अमरनाथ यात्रा के बाद सब हम लोग इकट्ठे हो गए, अलग अलग नज़रिया रखने वाले अलग लोग एकजुट होकर हमने उसकी मजम्मत की और इस तरह से पूरी दुनिया को एक बार फिर पैगाम दिया कि कश्मीर की कश्मीरियत अभी जिंदा है।
While no one from the coalition partner BJP was present on the occasion, other PDP leaders and cabinet ministers paid tributes at the martyrs' graves. The day marks the sacrifice of the freedom fighters in Kashmir on July 13, 1931, who were gunned down by the Dogra army. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Well, the government has called an all-party meeting on Friday evening to brief the opposition about the situation on the borders with China and Pakistan. The meeting will be held at the official residence of Union Home Minister Rajnath Singh. External Affairs Minister Sushma Swaraj will also be present. The government intends to convince other political parties to speak in one voice on issues related to Pakistan and China, given that provocative statements are coming against India from both countries. Comments coming from China have been especially worrisome. The External Affairs Ministry says diplomacy is at work with China and India sticks to its earlier position that Chinese troops should maintain the status quo before 16 June 2017.
उसमें प्रधानमंत्री मोदी और राष्ट्रपति शी जिनपिंग के बीच ब्रिक्स इन्फॉर्मर्स लीडर्स मीटिंग के बाद एक वार्तालाप सा एक संवाद हुआ था जिसमें उन्होंने बहुत सारे मुद्दों पे बात करी थी. एक रेंज ऑफ इश्यूज एज वी हैड सेड दे डिस्कस्ड एज फार एज डोकलाम एरिया इशू इज कंसर्न. You know, we have diplomatic channels available. The embassies are there in both countries, and those channels will continue to be used.
Well, the BSE benchmark Sensex breached the 32,000 mark for the first time on Thursday. The NSE Nifty 2 hit a new peak of 9,879. Following a strong buzz that a policy rate cut may be on the anvil. The Sensex zoomed 215.60 points or 0.67% to hit a new peak of 32,020, surpassing the previous intraday record of 31,885 reached on July 11th. The NSE Nifty 2 shattered records, rising 62.40 points or 0.63% to hit a new high of 9,878. All sectoral indices led by FMCG, capital goods, power, metal, banking and auto were trading in the positive zone. The rise in the indices came on the back of renewed hopes of a rate cut by the Reserve Bank at its policy meet next month. This after retail inflation hit a historical low of 1.54% in June, while IIP growth slumped to 1.7% in May. Well, the Parliamentary Standing Committee on Finance led by Congress leader Veerappa Moily met on Thursday to discuss issues like digital transactions, cybercrime and bitcoins. According to sources, several MPs raised questions to the Ministry of Finance as well as the Home Ministry on digital transactions, which the centre strongly promoted after demonetization. The highly debated virtual currency Bitcoin was also discussed at the meeting. Companies dealing with Bitcoin are being kept under watch by the government and the Interdisciplinary Committee of the Finance Ministry. There were also concerns about the recent attack on computer networks around the world. A TMC leader suggested a separate cybersecurity ministry to deal with such situations. The government also asked the general public for virtual currency should be banned or made self-regulatory. Representatives of CBI Policy Commission, Reserve Bank, Electronics Department, Intelligence Bureau were also present at the meeting. The National Green Tribunal on Thursday banned the dumping of any kind of waste near the Ganga. The NGT has directed authorities that no waste dumping should be allowed within 500 meters from the edge of Ganga River in Unnao and Haridwar and imposed a penalty of 50,000 rupees on those who violate the order. It also clearly stated that the 100 meters distance from the edge of the river will not be used for developmental purposes. It has also directed the governments in Uttar Pradesh and Uttarakhand to formulate guidelines for religious activities on the ghats of the Ganga or its tributaries. The top green court has also called for strict action against those who violate its order. Well, normal life was hit in the northeastern states of Arunachal Pradesh, Assam and Manipur due to excessive rains creating flood-like situations. The centre dispatched a team led by Union Minister Kiren Rijiju to oversee rescue and relief operations in affected areas in the entire region. Here's a report.
The flood situation took a turn for the worse in the northeastern states. On Wednesday, floods killed 5 people in Assam, taking the death toll to 45. Rains have affected more than 17 lakh people in 24 of the 35 districts. The Brahmaputra and its tributaries submerged 2,500 villages and destroyed 1.06 lakh hectares of cropland.
10,000 people are affected by this flood. Since yesterday, water level was rising, and from last night there is some water level receding seen, but still there are several villages which are underwater.
The flood situation in Kaziranga National Park is alarming, with 50% land submerged in water. The park is home to 2/3 of the world's endangered one-horned rhinos, which are being moved to safer places.
Almost 102 camps out of 178 camps are being affected by water, and our staffs are on high alert.
Union Minister Kiren Rijiju on Thursday undertook an aerial survey of the flood-hit districts and assured people of all possible assistance from the centre. Assam Chief Minister Sarbananda Sonowal also visited Majuli and Kaziranga National Park on Wednesday and assured help to the people and the affected wildlife.
रिलीफ कैंप में जो बसे हुए हमारे लोग हैं उनसे मैंने मिला और उनकी जानकारी ली, क्योंकि सरकार की तरफ से जो भी अनाज दिया गया है वो मिला है कि नहीं, तो लोगों ने कहा सही समय पे मिला है, और हमारी सरकार की तरफ से जो भी मदद चाहिए हम देने के लिए तैयार हैं.
Arunachal Pradesh and its capital Itanagar were also cut off by floods and landslides, while all districts of Manipur were reeling under rains and floods. Union Minister Rijiju, who is on a 3-day visit to the flood-hit northeastern states, will visit the 2 states next. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Well, let's now get you a roundup of all the other news from across the country and nationwide. The ongoing Delhi University admissions could be impacted by the outcome of a plea seeking re-evaluation of answer sheets of their Class 12 exams held this year. The main issue is about students who are still seeking admission. Students who have already been admitted to DU colleges will not have their admissions cancelled, even if their marks are reduced after re-evaluation. The matter has been fixed for further hearing on July 26th. Eleven Indians were killed in a fire in the southern Saudi city of Najran. The Indian consulate in Jeddah is providing all assistance to the families of the deceased and those injured. 5 Indians were injured in the blaze that ripped through a windowless house where the workers were staying. External Affairs Ministry spokesperson Gopal Bagle said Jeddah was providing all assistance. The Supreme Court dismissed industrialist Naveen Jindal's plea seeking to challenge a trial court's order in the High Court in connection with the coal block allocation scam. The Apex Court said that the accused can't challenge any special court order before the High Court during the trial. Besides Jindal, the case also involves former Minister of State for Coal Dasari Narayan Rao and ex-Jharkhand Chief Minister Madhu Koda as accused. Well, it's time for a short break now, but news and updates will continue on the other side. Stay tuned, we'll be right back.
आजादी की जंग लड़ने वाले मेरे दोस्तों, आजादी चाहिए तो उसकी कीमत खून दे के चुकानी होगी. तुम मुझे खून दो, मैं तुम्हें आजादी दूंगा।
आईएनए की बागी फौजियों पर अंग्रेज देशद्रोह का मुकदमा चलाएंगे।
उन तीनों के बचने के चांसेस कम हैं।
This trial and its judgment will be remembered throughout history.
Welcome back. You're watching Rajya Sabha television. Well, former President of Brazil, Lula da Silva, has been found guilty of corruption and money laundering and sentenced to nearly 10 years in prison. He will remain free pending an appeal, but political analysts claim this is the end of his political career. Lula has repeatedly denied taking any bribes and has described the investigation against him as a campaign to prevent his return to power. Here's a report.
A stunning fall from grace for the 71-year-old iconic leftist leader. Former Brazilian President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva was convicted and handed a 9.5-year prison term on Wednesday for allegedly receiving about $1.1 million in improvements and expenses from a construction company for a luxury seaside apartment. In exchange, prosecutors said the company was able to obtain lucrative contracts from Petrobras, the state-controlled oil giant. Reports say that during his trial, Lula da Silva was questioned for hours but remained defiant. He proclaimed his innocence and said that it was politics and not the pilfering of public funds that put him on trial. His supporters and allies continue to stand by the statements.
Recebeu a notícia com a serenidade do inocente e com a indignação de injustiçado. Agora, os desdobramentos nós vamos trabalhar para ver.
O Lula é uma pessoa inocente, ele não é dono desse imóvel, nunca pediu esse imóvel, nunca morou nesse imóvel, nunca frequentou esse imóvel. Então, realmente é um caso muito grave de injustiça.
Lula da Silva's legal team has said that they will appeal against the ruling and have continuously blasted the trial as a partisan witch hunt, accusing Judge Sergio Moro of being biased and out to get the former president for political reasons. Judge Moro has denied the allegations, but da Silva's conviction has yet again stirred the debate among citizens and reactions have been mixed. The verdict represents the high-profile conviction yet in the sweeping corruption investigation that for over 3 years has rattled Brazil. The verdict also sent a dramatic message to much of Brazil's political class that they too risked falling afoul of the anti-graft drive. Even the current president, Michel Temer, has been charged with taking bribes and several of his ministers have resigned after corruption claims were made. But one cannot deny the fact that Judge Moro is often cited as da Silva's closest rival in hypothetical matchups in the presidential race, though Judge Moro has ruled out running for office.
Acho que não tinha razão para condenar. Eu acho que não tinha razão para condenar. Eu acho que ela não veio nem cedo nem tarde demais.
Eu acho que o Sérgio Moro ele foi muito hábil quando ele escreveu na sentença dele que não importa o quão alto você esteja, a lei sempre estará acima de todos nós. Tem que cumprir a lei. Se ele fez errado, aparentemente ele fez, ele tem que pagar pelos seus crimes.
Da Silva's conviction tarnishes the legacy of one of Brazil's most commanding political figures, the country's first working-class president who left office 6 years ago with an 83% approval rating. The charismatic leader challenged the military dictatorship and nurtured global ambitions for his nation, helping land the 2014 World Cup and the 2016 Olympics. Former US President Barack Obama had once labeled him the most popular politician on earth. Despite multiple corruption allegations against him, Lula had announced his intention to run for president in next year's election and has been widely considered a leading contender. But the ruling could be a crippling blow to his aspirations. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
The Russian court sentenced a man convicted of murdering opposition leader Boris Nemtsov to 20 years in jail. Nemtsov, one of President Vladimir Putin's most vocal critics, was murdered in 2015. He had been working on a report examining Russia's role in the conflict in Ukraine. The court handed the longest sentence of 20 years to Zor Dadayev, a former soldier in Chechnya, and the man state prosecutors said pulled the trigger. The other 4 Chechen men convicted of being His accomplices received jail sentences ranging from 11 to 19 years. But the late politician's allies said that the investigation had been a cover-up and those who ordered his killing still remained at large. State prosecutors said that the group had followed Nemtsov around the Russian capital and had been promised a bounty of 15 million rubles.
Ну, что можно сказать по поводу приговора? Самое главное, его ущербность в том, что на скамье подсудимых так и не оказались ни организаторы, ни заказчики. И именно в этом направлении мы, как представители Жанны Немцовой, будем прикладывать все максимальные усилия дальше. Очень надеемся, что организаторы и заказчики рано или поздно они точно предстанут на скамье подсудимых, и они получат больше.
Конечно, я за свои слова отвечаю. Я не прокурор, не следователь, я как человек кавказской национальности. И брат Заура, да. Если Заур этого сделал бы, мой брат, я бы никогда сюда не приехал и перед прессой. Мой брат честный, очень исключительный, мужественный человек.
Well, here's a roundup of the other international news now in Global Buzz. US President Donald Trump said in an interview Wednesday that he has a good relationship with Russian President Vladimir Putin after the two met for more than 2 hours in Hamburg last week. Trump also said that he felt Putin would have preferred Hillary Clinton win last year's election, even though US intelligence says that the Russian leader directed a covert effort to help defeat the Democrat. US Secretary of State Rex Tillerson was expected to travel back to Qatar on Thursday for more talks with the country's 37-year-old emir. These meetings have, however, not led to any signs of solving the dispute with United States' Middle East allies. A bill to convert EU law into British law has been published. The legislation, known as the Repeal Bill, will ensure the same rules apply in the UK after Brexit, while giving UK Parliament the power to change them. It will repeal the European Communities Act of 1972, which took Britain into the EU and removed the supremacy of Brussels law. Well, moving on to some sports news now, where top seed Andy Murray and 3 times champion Novak Djokovic bowed out of the Wimbledon on Wednesday, making Roger Federer a hot favourite to win this year's tournament. Defending champion Andy Murray appeared to be hampered by injury in his 5-set loss to American Sam Querrey in the quarterfinal. 24th seed Querrey won the match 3-6, 6-4, 6-7, 6-1, 6-1 and booked his first semi-final spot at a Grand Slam. He will now face 7th-seeded Marin Cilic in the last 4. Cilic prevailed over Gilles Muller in 5 sets to make it to his 4th Grand Slam quarterfinal. Muller, who knocked out Rafael Nadal on Monday, took the first set, but former US Open champion Cilic came through to win 3-6, 7-6, 7-5, 5-7, 6-1. It was also curtains for world number 2 Novak Djokovic, who had to retire injured during his quarterfinal match against Thomas Berdych. Djokovic, who would have regained top spot by winning the title, was down 7-6 to 0 when he had to withdraw with an elbow injury.
15 love.
Meanwhile, Roger Federer remained on course for his record 8th World Wimbledon title with a straight sets victory over 6th-seeded Milos Raonic. The 18 times Grand Slam champion made short work of beating last year's runner-up Raonic with a trademark display, winning the match 6-4, 6-2, 7-6 in just under 2 hours. He will face Czech world number 15 Thomas Berdych in the semi-final on Friday. Well, for India, it was a mixed day as Rohan Bopanna reached the mixed doubles quarterfinals, while Sania Mirza failed to cross the 3rd round hurdle in the same event. Both seeds Mirza and Ivan Dodic were upset 6-4-6 by Henry Kontanin and Heather Watson. Bopanna and his Canadian partner Gabriela Dabrowski beat the Croatian pair of Nikola Mektic and Anna Konju 7-6, 6-2 to reach the last 8. Meanwhile, the women's singles semi-final will be played today. In the first semi-final, Spain's Gabriel Muguruza will take on unseeded Magdalena Ribarikova. In the second match, five-times champion Venus Williams will face Britain's Johanna Konta for a place in the final. Well, that's it on this newscast. Have a good evening.